Okay, now what we're going to do is go back to the beginning and talk about your options as an owner in default. My name is Richard Patrick, and I've been helping people fix their financial situation since 1993. And one of the things that we've done is put this information together so you can make an informed decision. If it's best for you to put your home on the market, is it good to do a modification? Should you sell it? If you choose to walk away from the property, what are your options if you do walk away? Can you get money? We're going to cover all those things here. The very first thing you should do is contact your current lender for a loan modification if you plan to stay in the home. But you want to be doing this simultaneously with trying to find explore all your other options. Because let's say if you wait 60 days and they don't do the modification, then you're a month away from getting a trustee sale, and then you only have 21 days. So make sure you not only look for a loan modification, but you also find other ways to get current if you're going to borrow money from family, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. Now, this is not a rule that you must be upside down, but from what we've seen, most lenders, unless you're upside down, they're not going to give you a loan modification and work with you. Most. That's not, there's hundreds, if not thousands, or tens of thousands or more lenders, so everybody has their own rules, but for the most part, owners with equity do not qualify for loan modifications. Because if you are, put yourself in the bank's shoes, if you had loaned somebody $200,000 and you could take the property back and sell the property and get all your money back, what would you do? Would you take $1,800 a month? Or if they were trying to get the payments down to $1,000 a month, would you do that, or would you go get all your money back? In most cases, you get all your money back, so you have to understand where the bank's coming from. Now, in order to do a modification, you need to be employed and have income. You must have the ability to repay the loan, obviously. So it's a brand new loan. Just because they have your information from before doesn't mean anything. As a matter of fact, they don't have your information from before. All they know is that you're supposed to pay X amount of dollars on the first of the month. That's all they care about. They don't have your pay stubs, your W-2s, your bank statements, none of that. Okay. Now you need to look at all the modification programs available, and we'll provide a link for you so you can click on that. There are other resources that you can take advantage of. There's some non-profits out there. You might want to Google local agencies or local attorneys or lawyers that could help you bring the mortgage current, or stall the lender, or work with the lender. That does happen. Now you could also try to get a new loan. You're not going to get a loan with any good rate. It's probably going to be higher than what you're paying right now in most of the cases. Most lenders won't lend to people in default, and if they will, don't get in a situation where you're paying 5-6 points. I know there's, you can pay up to 4. That's sort of common. However, you have to make sure that you're going to be able to make those payments on your new loan. So if you're paying $1,800 before, now you got to realize that you're going to be paying 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13%. So your mortgage payments are going to be much higher. So if you couldn't pay the mortgage before, how are you going to make the payment then? So you want to make sure that you're making a wise decision and you're not making it more difficult to sell your home, because now once you start adding, if you have let's say you have a $300,000 loan and 4 points is $12,000 plus all the money to bring the loan current, you may have stripped all your equity that you have, or a large portion of it, and you may fall back in the same situation again. You should probably do everything all at once. Contact the lender for a modification. Try to investigate getting a new loan and determine whether or not you can keep it. Then you want to ask family and friends for help as a last-ditch effort. Some people are too prideful to do that. There may be no friends or family or nobody with money, but you need to ask these questions. And I know it's difficult, it's uncomfortable, but you need to know, how much will they help? Can they reinstate all the back payments? And you have to be upfront and honest, and you can't wait. As much as it sickens you to your stomach or raises your blood pressure to go ask for money, you got to just go ahead and do it. Then what about future payments? You need to be realistic. If these people bring your payments current and you just fall behind again, they could lose their money. So make sure you want to get a firm commitment date and don't wait until the last minute. You have 90 days. So that's one thing you must consider, is that you have about 90 days. Okay, so now if you're reading this, you're usually at least 90 days behind or more on your payments. You have about 111 days or less than 4 months from the date of the notice of default, not 111 days from today. Go back and see, when did you first, not when you got it in the mail, when you received it. All the other stuff about what you sent and who said what, it doesn't matter. Go by the filing date. Unless you have something in writing, it does not exist. Don't believe anything anybody says, because you may call back and say, well, somebody said it was my date was extended, they're not going to foreclose. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. All right, so 90 days from your notice of default, there'll be a notice of trustee sale filed. Okay, now this is basically a foreclosure sale. A trustee sale is a foreclosure sale when the property is going to be sold to the highest bidder, or the bank will take it back. One or the other. Okay, you have 21 days to bring your mortgage current before your home is sold at auction. Don't wait until the last minute. Don't wait until the last week, because it's going to take them a few days just to get the attorney fees to get back to you. Then you're going to need time to get the money transferred, or wait for a check to clear. And always get a cashier's check or wire instructions that go to your bank. If you can't walk into your bank like a Wells Fargo or B of A and bring it current, you probably won't be able to do that anyway. You have to send the money to the trustee. Make sure you get the instructions directly from the trustee in order to make that happen. Now, that's why you absolutely want to make sure that you have a firm commitment date. Get a firm commitment date, and don't be afraid to ask. Okay. Now, if they don't make the commitment deadline, don't extend the loan or trying to wait. Move on to the next plan, because you can't wait for somebody that's not going to to perform. So, I mean, this is very serious. This is your home if you decide you want it. You could also get an attorney if you have the the legal fees, or you have the money that can help. A bankruptcy, talk to a bankruptcy attorney. It's going to cost you anywhere from $500 to a couple $1,000. But you can probably imagine, if you pay somebody $500, it may not be the ones that are calling you back and getting everything done on time. And then that's just going to, it doesn't cure everything. You're still going to have to come up with the payments, or come up with some type of payment plan. Okay? And then you have to qualify for Chapter 7. If this link doesn't work, we'll provide another link for you. I don't know if you can click on this link here, but we're going to provide a link for you. And then you have to check to see if it's filed. Don't rely on the attorney, because the attorney could say yes. He may think that it's filed. They're regular people too, and they make mistakes. So don't rely on somebody else. This is your house. So, they could sue for improper mortgage disclosure. There's a lot of things that can be done, but this doesn't work that often. But in some cases it does work. You may be able to get better modification terms, reduce the back payments in principle. Chapter 13 has been a way that a lot of people have used to stop foreclosure. Now, you have to qualify for both of these, okay? And then you could also, use Google and do some research on your own. Now, living in the house rent-free, what I would suggest is that you, let's say you lost your job or something happened, start saving that money and putting it to the side, getting ready for, if you're going to move, for a deposit. Because a landlord's going to want to see that you have some money. They're going to sell your house at auction. They're not going to stop because it's your house. It doesn't matter how much money you put in it, how sick you are, how sick your family members are, what job you have coming, who's going to send you a check. I've heard all these things and more. So don't wait on that stuff. Okay. Now, if you have equity, make sure. A lot of people, when we talk about collusion, that means that some investors that go to the county courthouse steps will collude not to, contact you or work with you. But let's just say, for instance, at an auction, if you owe $300,000 and you just don't know what you're going to get at an auction, the bank could take it back. You're going to be evicted. So you get a letter from an attorney. You can move out after the auction. I mean, if you're a tenant in the property, it's a different story. But if you're the owner, they can get you out of there really quickly. As a matter of fact, they can come in and change the locks. I've seen the locks change, within an hour or less of the sale. So make sure that, in other words, I'm trying to don't wait until the last minute. Now, there are things that you can do. Myself, just being upfront, I am an investor, but I'm going to show you, tell you what you can do. You can put the property on the market. If you, sell it to somebody else like an investor, it would work. Now, you can rent a home. You can't explain it. Look, the payment jumped up. If your credit's good, other than your mortgage, then it may be a little bit easier to rent a property. If not, you have a bad credit. There's an eviction on your record. You can be in big trouble. So there are options. There's no one hard and set rule. If you're underwater, you may be able to get an incentive from the bank. Wells Fargo, B of A, Chase, some of those banks, and a lot of other banks pay money for short sales because it keeps the property in good shape and they don't have to pay additional money. Now, when you're doing a short sale, we've had some short sales a couple of years ago, some short sales that were actually foreclosed on while we were working on the short sale. That's illegal now. So if you start the short sale process, you still have to make your payments. Let's not be real, not mistake that. But if you're in contract, then the bank, we're just essentially waiting for the bank to say yes to the sale. If they say no to the sale, then they could foreclose. But if you're in contract and the bank's accepted it, you're not going to have a foreclosure. Okay. Most short sale approvals take about 60 days. I've seen some that are taking longer. And some are 30 days. So some are happening quickly, depends on the bank, depends on your agent, depends on you, depends on who you're working with at the bank. So always make sure you're prepared to move, you have all your ducks in a row. You're not going to have a big, gigantic tax bill from doing a short sale because that's been extended through the rest of this year at least, and which means that the bank can't come after you for like say, for instance, you have a $600,000 loan balance. You sell your house for $500,000. There's a $100,000 shortage. In some cases, it would show that you've had $100,000 in income. In the past, that's no longer the case. Okay. Then the second mortgage is basically going to be stripped. There's no liability there. The bank will generally agree to that. And going back to the bankruptcy, oftentimes if you file bankruptcy, it'll strip any second liens or what have you. But again, it'll be really hard to get another mortgage, really hard to rent in some cases. You could also list your home, but you have to be ready to show it. You have to price it right, and that could take 60 days. If it's priced right, staged right, in the right area, it could sell quickly in 3 weeks. But then you got to remember that it takes a buyer to perform. And things happen. Deals fall out of escrow. I've been doing this for a long time. So you just want to make sure that you do everything that you can as soon as possible. It could depend on how long you need, depending on the time frame that you have, whether or not you still live in the home. So, you got to consider all of these things. And we can help you walk through that process. If the buyer needs a loan, what if the loan doesn't go through? They lose their job. They do something like, buy a car or motorcycle in the process. And I'm not making this stuff up. It happens. It's happened to me. Now, it will get you the most money if you list with a realtor, if they can close before the foreclosure sale date. In some cases, if it's not closed, the banks may extend a couple of days, but if they don't, you can lose everything. Now, myself, I'm an investor. I would make an as-is offer on your property, no repairs needed. Be quick. You'll know exactly how much money you're going to get. You can move on. We'll even, if everything's right, if the price is right, we can give you incentive just like a bank would to move, and help you find a place. You won't have an eviction. There won't be, a foreclosure on your credit. You will have some late payments and a foreclosure, but and then we also put you in touch with a credit repair agency. I used one myself back in 2001 after I got hurt and missed a few months of work. No financing inspection contingencies that can close. in 5 business days if necessary. Generally, it takes 2 weeks, just because it may take time to get the contractor. There's a cooling off period that we have to have by law, unless the sale is imminent. If the sale is imminent, then we can move very, very, very quickly. Your neighbors won't know about the foreclosure. You just sell your home just like anybody else, and then you can keep your credit and qualify for another loan. 3 years if with a notice of default, 7 years if you have a foreclosure or bankruptcy. And again, what we would do is bring your loans current, and keeping them current, it'll increase your score. So you got to watch out. Some investors will bring your loan current, take a long time to get the work done, and then you're back in foreclosure again. So we have the cash to make the payments. As a matter of fact, when we take over a property, and we budget that it's in our budget for the payments. We'll make sure that you're not homeless. Again, finding a property is up to you, but you won't be evicted from the property due to a foreclosure. But you do have to move out when we agree that you have to move out, and we'll help you move. Okay. So get your cash, liens are brought current, no more hiding, and trying to get rid of what you need. Whoops. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. We'll get everything taken care of for you. And if you have any other options, any other questions, send us an email, give us a call, and we'll work them out, and we'll help you get out from under that loan that you no longer need or want, or that's causing you trouble. Have a good one.